Let's talk about home inspections because I swear the second that a buyer gets the whole home inspection report sent to them, there is immediate panic that sets in. And this is not just for existing homes, this is also for new construction. The laundry list is always long on an inspection report and it can become very overwhelming and induce panic. So today we're going to break things up into three different categories: a green light, a yellow light, and a red light for home inspection items that are common in Nebraska. So obviously every house has its own set of issues that are going to come up, but today we are just exclusively covering the things that I see the most on home inspection reports in the Omaha Metro. My name is Morgan Putnam and I am a local realtor. Let's get into it. Thank you so much for stopping by the Omaha Insider YouTube channel. Please take a moment to like this video and to subscribe to my channel so you're always the first to know what's going on in Omaha. First things first, we're going to start with the green lights. So again, these are the most common things that I see on home inspection reports that come up very regularly and really should not be a reason to cancel a contract. And some of these things you can ask for in seller repairs, and some of these things are best to just have you fix after you move forward and purchase the house. The longer that the laundry list is of things that you ask for from a seller, the more likely you are to get pushback and to maybe risk the deal. So these are things that I see over and over that really are not that big of a deal. The first item is faulty or not working GFCI outlets. So you're supposed to have a GFCI outlet anywhere near water. So this is on backsplash in kitchens, in bathrooms. It is very common for these to not be working or to not be working properly or to not have them at all. This is something that is relatively affordable to have fixed by an electrician and really is not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. The next most common thing I see on an inspection report is a door from the garage to the interior of the house that does not have automatic closing hinges. So this is always put as a safety concern on an inspection report in Nebraska because it is now code here to have automatic closing hinges on those doors between the garage and the interior because of the risk of carbon monoxide. This is something that really tends to be preference. Another issue that comes up a lot is not enough insulation in the attic. So if you are buying a new construction home, this is something that the builder has to have in order to meet code. And usually this isn't going to come up on an inspection report for a new construction home. Obviously, older homes, they had different requirements around insulation. Insulation can degrade over time and kind of shrink, and so it might not be thick enough. But this is a relatively easy thing to fix. You can fix it yourself, or you can hire a professional to fix it, and it really should not be a reason to back out of a contract. Another new code item in Nebraska and is now standard for roofs is whenever there's a valley of a roof, they have a splash guard where the two valleys meet because if there's not a splash guard, it can tend to overflow during a very heavy rainfall. This is a new thing. I've only seen this the last 2 years come up on inspection reports, and trust me, plenty of houses before then did not have them. And so it's a relatively easy thing and a relatively cheap thing to have put in valleys of your roof. Again, I would call these green lights. Yes, you might have a list of little things like this. Maybe an outlet doesn't work. Maybe one bathroom sink is slow draining, something like that. But that's not a reason to cancel a contract. These are very common issues in Nebraska, and for sure you want to know about them. You want to know everything about the house that you're buying, but it's not a reason to back out. Next up, we're going to talk about yellow lights for home inspection reports in Omaha of things that come up regularly. I'm going to start with kind of what I view as like the least big deal, but it's something to be aware of, and then move on to things that could be a bigger deal, and then we'll transition into the red lights. So the first thing is if the earth around your house is not sloping away from the house. So it is pretty common to have grading not be correct. It might slope towards the house, which can lead to a lot of water getting towards the foundation of your house, which the whole goal of owning a home and having gutters and downspouts is to keep water away from the house. Water towards the house is never a good thing. This is a very easy thing to fix, and it is not a huge deal unless it has been a perpetual problem for a very long time and there has been water that is getting near the foundation. So this is just something to be aware of. it is not necessarily a reason to back out of a contract, but it is something to look further. Like, make sure that the inspector has really done their due diligence in checking out the basement to make sure that there hasn't been water getting into the basement because of the bad drainage. Make sure the downspouts are long enough and are keeping all of the water away from the house so it doesn't pool and into any sort of grading that goes towards the house. The next item is a cracked driveway. So this is very common in Nebraska. Cracked sidewalks, cracked driveways, because of our freeze-thaw cycle. It is very hard on concrete, and it is very normal for concrete to crack here. Builders tend to not even offer very much of a warranty for concrete because it is very common for it to crack. So there's normal just settlement issues that will happen with the freeze-thaw cycle, and then there are bigger issues like street creep that need to be addressed at some point because it can affect the actual foundation of the house. So street creep is when your driveway is cracking and the concrete from the street is pushing your driveway into your actual house. Street creep is just a great thing to be aware of and to make sure that you are mitigating it so it doesn't cause further issues down the road. Next up is broken seals on windows. This is very easy to have happen. Just like the smallest little pinprick can cause a seal of a window to break, and that does not mean that the window is then compromised, but it will cause humidity to form on the inside of the double pane glass of a window. So this happens all the time, and it is something to be aware of. If you don't like the cloudiness in the window, it's something to maybe ask the sellers to repair, just to replace the glass for that window. It really doesn't actually compromise the window, and so you can also just be aware of it and then just move on. It's not a big deal. Older furnace and older AC condenser, those are just bigger ticket items that you want to be aware of the age and to know, to kind of budget and to know that at some point you're likely going to need to replace them if they are older. If it is an older unit and has been really well maintained and serviced regularly, that is not necessarily that big of a deal. If a unit has been serviced regularly, they can last a very long time, especially if it's an older model. But it's just something to be aware of, to know the age and if it's been well maintained, and to continue to maintain your unit well. And then next up is hail damage on a roof. So obviously in Nebraska, we get lots of storms. We get a lot of hail here, and really important to always, if there is a hailstorm that blows through, have a trusted roofer out to look to see if there is enough damage to file an insurance claim. This is something that can be negotiated with a seller to be like, hey, hail damage was found. If it's within the last 5 years, you need to put in a claim and then assign me the claim so then I can get a new roof put on this house. But it is something to be aware of. You really do not want to have to pay cash out of pocket for a damaged roof. Okay, and then red lights, and these are not things that I see all the time. So this is just something to be aware of that does occasionally come up. So major foundation issues. We have clay soil in Omaha, and so it can really mess with the foundation, and it's very sticky. It's tricky. So major foundation issues are something that to be aware of. If your inspector finds it, it's really good to have a trusted expert in foundation specifically, maybe even an engineer come out and to give you the green light that it's okay to move forward with the house with foundation issues. Sometimes if folks have had work done on their foundation to secure it, there's usually a warranty involved. So make sure you get all the paperwork for that warranty if you're buying a house that has had foundation issues in the past. Next up is perpetual water issues in the basement. This is just very annoying to live in a house with water issues. Water issues in the basement are not uncommon in Nebraska, but usually people have to be proactive about it because it's a huge nuisance and it will obviously ruin any sort of finishes that you have in the basement, whether it's carpet, drywall, trim, whatever it is. And so this tends to have to be addressed, and different basement companies will offer warranties similar to foundation issues that will guarantee your work for a certain number of years. And so you always want to make sure you get that paperwork. I would say foundation and water in the basement, those are just very tricky issues that you would want to make sure that you're comfortable moving forward with a house that has those two known issues. The biggest thing I want you to be aware of with this video is that every house, whether it's new construction or existing, is going to have a very long list of things that are wrong with the house during an inspection. And so it's just being aware that not everything is a reason to back out of a contract, because if you back out of that one, you're going to then go buy a different house that's going to have its own laundry list of issues. And so it's just kind of figuring out which issues you are comfortable with taking on, and it's really a person to person basis of what you're comfortable with. Again, these are the most common issues I see in Omaha. Let me know if you have any thoughts or opinions on mine. My name is Morgan Putnam, and I'm a local realtor. You can reach me at 402-720-9886 or at my website, www.heymorganputnam.com.